26 minutes, the phone tells me. I suppose that'd be as long as I needed. Perhaps it's 25 minutes too long. Hello, everyone. Brian Jennings here, the Critical Sorcerer. This channel exists to discuss... What do we discuss here, you know? God damn. But primarily it exists to discuss the nature of the movie critic. Quentin Tarantino's 10th and final film. I contend that Quentin and I, and perhaps a couple of other people, in fact have the strongest psychic connection ever in the history of creation. And I contend that it is slowly driving us all mad. I wear it well, he wears it well, but it's getting worse every day. And so I also contend that that film, which they call the movie critic, it's not called anything else, is in fact a disgusting black magic ritual to destroy me, that in fact compounds upon their disgusting psychological games to torture and destroy me to such an attenuated degree that I now have legal grounds to seek damages in possession of the film in order to destroy it, to protect myself. Which is the purpose of the Kickstarter, right? That's like, and I'll have a link below, but we're in the middle of that right now. And so I've taken to emailing, like anyone you can possibly fathom, like everyone in the industry, as well as typically a university, like an entire university. So today it was the Columbia Medical School, as well as the Columbia School of Journalism, as well as the University of Maryland's School of Criminal Justice, Criminology. Several law schools have been included: Columbia Law, NYU Law, USC Law, UCLA, as well as several hundred agents each time, as well as anyone else I see fit, up to and including, right, the FBI, up to and including, right? But I send these emails out typically once a day to 700 people to 1,000 people. And I discuss to each institution, like why I'm writing them, like what they represent within it. I've written a bunch of synagogues. And what I'll say about that is that I never genuinely thought about Quentin being Jewish. I never thought about that at all. I knew that his wife was Israeli, but I knew that he was American. That's like, there's nothing to say he's an American Jew. That's like, I guess that's my point. That's what I'm saying. But it never crossed my mind. I just thought that he was like touring with the film and saw her and was like, yep, that's the one. I want that one. Because only a jackass would say otherwise. But in my, each day so as a result of our psychic connection, each day that we exist in this way not only compounds upon our mental illness, it also brings us closer together. Brings us to where like less secrets are there, and we're becoming like more and more comfortable with each other. And I had a real revelation. One second. But the revelation that I had was, I think very insightful and worth discussing. I always say that every writer is me, and I think that that's true. Or not. I'm sorry. Every character is me when I'm writing. Every character is me, and I think that that's true. Every character is me, right? And so, while maybe that's not completely true, I could write a book about, a retarded 13-year-old girl. Like, I could do that, or something to that effect, where it's like so off the rails, right? But it's fairly safe to assume psychologically that most characters emerge from some psychological truth within the writer. And I think that that's true. And so in my mind, right, when I thought about the movie critic, when I thought about if Travis Bickle was a movie critic, that's like how I thought about it. I thought, oh, this is great. This is great. Like this is perfect for me. This is a hard role. That's not an easy guy to like play, because I was thinking about it like a writer. I was thinking about it like what he actually represents psychologically, like as a person. And so I contend, one second. I contend, excuse me, that guy, right? That guy in reality gets no pussy. Any person that goes to a pornographic theater and pays money and sits down in the seat and then like pulls out a pen and like something to write with, that's not like a well-adjusted guy psychologically. Right? And so I wrote Quentin not because I'm not well adjusted, but because I was a writer and I had been celibate for 6 years, a long time by that point. Not because I needed to be, but because I wanted to be. Like I had my reasons. I said, no, I can be above it. And I was on like my spiritual journey, you know? And so the revelation that I've had is that that's not the character that Quentin wrote. It seems pretty obvious now, and that's like my naivete. It's like me like thinking intellectually, right? But Quentin is the movie critic, right? Like Quentin writes and he fucks a bunch of bitches, and so that's what that script like actually is. It's not like a complex like kind of character study. It's a guy who's like funny, who like does coke and like, fucks a bunch of bitches. Right? And so, when I think about that, when I think about like the reality of that being, one second. But when I think about like that reality, if I say, oh, okay, well this isn't actually, the script that he's written isn't actually about a guy who is like a complicated like character. It's about, right, a degenerate who does drugs and fucks bitches all the time. Right? That's kind of like how it's settling like in my mind right now. And I don't care about that. Like that's like, I can't stress that enough. Like that's cool. Like that's who he is, you know, like nice, you know, hell yeah. Right? But what I'm saying is that like the industry's understanding of that script has been much different than mine until today. That I contend that every swinging dick in Hollywood had an opinion about why they needed to play the movie critic, not because they thought it was like a complex character, but because they were foaming at the mouth and had like a half chub over doing fake BDSM with Mikey Madison and Sydney Sweeney. Margaret Qualley, Maya Hawke. Right? And so we say, okay, that's what it actually really is. Like that's, okay. Okay. In my email that I just sent out, right, I contend, and I think that this must be true. It must be true. I don't know, but it must be true. Time will tell. That Quentin wrote this film because he has cultivated these unhealthy psychological relationships with all these women. Margaret Qualley, Sydney Sweeney, Maya Hawke, Mikey Madison, Margot Robbie, Ellie Fanning, right, as the primaries, right? Those are the ones that I demand give me babies and be my wives, right? Yeah, oh, I know, crazy guy. My terms are fair. Anyway, right? That he wrote this film to immortalize his perverse relationship with all of these women. And so the character of the movie critic, right, that it's not actually like about him, it's about Quentin doing a bunch of fucked up shit to all these women on this film set as for his last film. Right? And so again, don't care about that. Like that's, like this is the world, we're all like living in the world, right? However, I contend that those girls are in fact the ones that saw my letters first. Not them, but Sophia, whoever Sophia is in the novel. That she knows all of these girls really well because they all fuck Quentin. They all do a bunch of weird, freaky shit with Quentin. Right? And so she saw my headshot. And she has her group chat, right? And she says, oh, wow, like, look at this. Like, check out this guy. Like, what do you think about this guy? And they all said, money. That's like, yes. Like, okay. Like, yeah. Like, he's the one. He's like he could tie me up. And I know he won't be weird about it. Right? We keeping up? So, I contend, right, he halted his production because those girls said, we like him. He's coming from outside, right? He'll protect us, right? Again, I never realized this till today. That's not like, I thought it was like Travis Bickle. Like, that guy fucks nobody in Taxi Driver, right? Right? But I suspect that Brad Pitt was like, no, I want to rub my cock all over these girls. Right? And so Quentin, right, like this is my point, right? That Quentin in that moment, he could have said, no, I've written this screenplay about these girls and they're like doing a bunch of fucked up shit and they like this guy. And so I should respect them because like they're my angels, right? And they're debasing themselves. And they say they feel safe with him. Right? That's what a fucking G would do. Right? But instead, he went, well, I did appropriate spousal abuse. Like, yeah, you're cool. You're cool. You can rub your fucking dirty old erection all over these girls. Right? And so when I started reviewing movies and protests, when I wrote even more, when I fucking went, boom, even farther, never mention any of those girls. Ever. They said, no, this is a sign. This is a sign, right? He'll bury you in it and never mention us. Right? And so Quentin set up Tribeca and manipulated me into going because of the girls, right? That he didn't respect him enough to say, okay, we'll bring him in. Okay, we'll talk to him. Like, I see that you, right? I see that you all see something in him. I won't deny, right? In his mind, because he has an unhealthy psychological control over these girls, like a Nixium sex cult like type scenario, he can't just reach out to me, can he? He can't just say, the cast want to meet you. He can't just say that, can he? Because then that's him telling all those girls, oh, I think this guy is my equal, intellectually, spiritually, psychically, whatever. And so, I contend, right, that when I didn't submit the sovereignty of my mind at Tribeca, that they liked that even more. That they said, oh, wow, cool, like, yes, like he's on the set with us, and he's pushing Quentin out to where it's just the two of us. Right, and again, I'm oblivious. I have no, like, that's not, right? Like, honestly, in terms of Tribeca, when I think about that moment, when I think about him turning his back, and in reality, he was turning his back because of the women. That's like, he was saying, oh, well, like, I got all these girls. If you could, got to submit your mind to me if you want all these girls. Right? But in my mind, when he turned his back, all I saw was a creep. That's all I saw. I said, I didn't see girls. I didn't see Mikey Madison. I didn't see any of that. I thought it was a movie about a writer, and he refused to take my writing. That's right. And so anyway, I contend in my novel, which I'll include a link to in the description below, but I contend that all of these things collapsed around him, which engendered a kind of psychotic break in him, a kind of psychological kind of like breaking in his mind, because everyone around him was no longer just like accepting his opinion. That his wife and all these girls were all saying, and I know I'm an arrogant ass. I'm an arrogant, like, sure, like, yeah, whatever. But like, what I'm saying is that, like, why has it gone on this long? That's like really what I'm saying. That's right. That, like, I've said this so many times, and I mean it still now. He couldn't put me on his knee and be the elder statesman of cinema and say, dude, like, I know you're smart. I know you're wise. Like, that was, right? That was the moment, right? But if he's got the most beautiful women in the world on Chanel ads, all looking at him saying, you gave us a raw deal. You try to fucking control this guy when we're the ones who have to control him. This isn't about you, Quentin. It's about us. Right? That engendered him to feel compelled to give me AIDS. And God willing, I don't have it. But these are my terms, right? If they didn't do it, right? I've been clean since 2024. I got tested 3 times that year. Haven't had any sexual partners, no needles, like no risk factors. So, right, these are my terms. If the girls didn't do it, then they can all give me a baby, right? That's the deal, right? And if they don't want to do that, they can answer my questions on a polygraph with the FBI president. That's how I see it. Right? That the era that Hollywood has been in, like, for a long time, the Crowleyism era, right? It's come to its logical and natural conclusion. I'd like to hope that I could be intuitive enough to see what I couldn't see. So I suppose if I have a son, that's like, because I would have given him what he wanted, not only because they needed me, right, but because I wanted Quentin to be happy, right? But just like when I say I should have been stronger for my mother when she, like, complains about not having any money, and I see Quentin, in my mind's eye, eating caviar and mocking me and being ugly and using hypodermic needles to poison my body with diseases. I can't tell all of you that the things that I'm saying can be objectively true for you. I can't say that. But what I can say is that I'm living it. That's like why I say it. That my life has gone down like a particular trajectory, right? Which has been focused on esotericism, occultism, geometry, etc., 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 literature, all these things, right? And so all of that knowing has transmuted in this moment the condition that is occurring between Quentin and me into a theory. Now, I don't think that it takes a fucking genius to tell whomever that Quentin is interested in Crowleyism and psychic occultism, right? But I do think that it represents a real mental illness in Quentin to feel justified in manipulating everyone around him, not only towards hating me, but towards actually destroying my body with diseases because he can't control my mind. So, I suppose I'll stop. Please consider pledging. If you put up the 40,000 I need, I give you 400 million on the back end. Right? Just think about that. You put up 500, you get 500,000. God bless.